Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargav. Welcome to Tidbits on Business and Finance with me. The latest string of corporate frauds worldwide, in the case of Luckin Coffee China, in the case of NMC Health Dubai and London, and in the case of Wirecard International Germany, all of which had one common auditor, EY. These frauds, these shocking incidents of corporate manipulations, they again underline the dubious and negligent role of the big four multinational accounting firms and the imperative need for governments and regulators worldwide to either boycott them or ban them or at least punish and discipline them so that this dubious string of situations that we are seeing on corporate balance sheets somewhere comes to an end. Let's talk about the latest kid on the block in terms of these shocking corporate frauds, which is Wirecard International. This fraud is considered to be the biggest in global corporate world since Enron, which at that point of time had led to the collapse of Arthur Andersen. Wirecard happens to be a payment processing company. It is a kind of a middleman in online commerce and it has 3 lakh clients worldwide, which include the likes of Apple, Google, Alipay, WeChat, KLM, FedEx, and many others. It was set up in 1999 in Bavaria. That's where it is headquartered. And it has a presence of a string of subsidiaries and companies at the moment in 26 countries, which include the likes of India, New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia, and Malaysia. And these string of companies have been very instrumental in committing this giant fraud that we'll talk about. It has 6,000 employees at the moment. The company was listed on the stock exchanges in Germany in 2010 and very soon it became a darling of investors there, such that at its peak, its market cap even exceeded the likes of Deutsche Bank and Commerzbank, which are the banking giants of Germany. But then it has never been a squeaky clean company right from the start. From 2015 onwards, allegations started surfacing in the case of Wirecard that there have been massive accounting irregularities. These allegations came from whistleblowers, they came from analysts, they came from the press. But then they were conveniently ignored by EY. EY has been their auditor. It has been their auditor since 2008, and ironically, it came to Wirecard in 2008 for conducting a special audit in allegations of accounting deficiencies in its financial statements. Thus, actually, from then onwards, Wirecard has been witnessing major accounting irregularities, but EY ignored all the allegations, and even BaFin, which happens to be the SEBI counterpart, the capital market regulator in Germany, ignored all those allegations. But then the pressure kept mounting. 2019 became a key year for the Wirecard expose to finally come out. That's the time when EY found it too tough to actually certify the financial statements as clean and give it a clean chit. KPMG was appointed to conduct a special audit, and so was a firm in Singapore called Raja and Tan. Raja and Tan are a specialized firm of corporate investigators. These two were appointed in order to conduct a very thorough inquiry into all the accounting allegations which were surfacing. And their reports, which came out very quickly, were pretty shocking. It was another Enron-like story. It was another Satyam-like story. Bogus sales, bogus income, bogus profits and sales generated out of entities that never existed, and bogus sales which were done through round tripping through its own subsidiaries worldwide. Thus, its Hong Kong company would book a bogus sale on its Indian company, which would book a bogus sale on its Indonesian company. And in that manner, sales kept increasing, performance was shown to be very rosy. And finally, what happened because of this? When the company showed bogus sales and bogus profits, it also generated bogus bank balances, and they were to the tune of $2.1 billion. Those bank balances never truly existed. And these reports of these investigators said that those bank balances on the balance sheet of Wirecard International worldwide are fake. They do not exist. And that is when the cookie crumbled for Wirecard. Wirecard's share price collapsed instantly. Its bond prices collapsed instantly, and the cat was out in the open. So the investigations reported that $2.1 billion, which was supposed to be lying in a bank account with a Philippine bank called BPI, were completely non-existent. The fact is that EY, the auditor of the company since 2008, ignored the obvious and it did not do the obvious. The minimum that or the basic process that any auditor does is to seek confirmation of bank balances, and EY did not do that. That was the case with PwC and Satyam also. Bogus bank balances out of bogus sales, and so was the case of Wirecard. And the most basic process of even the smallest of auditor which he would do, which is seek confirmation of the bank balances, the biggest auditor in the world did not do that for so many years. The head of BaFin, the SEBI counterpart of Germany, in fact admitted that it is a shame that it took so long for the regulator to detect such a blatant and such an easy fraud. It is very clear from the Wirecard fraud that EY played a central role in it. Without EY's negligence or maybe collusion, it would not have taken place. And thus, there is a widespread demand in Europe and America that EY too should be prosecuted, and authorities in Germany are looking into it. It is in this background that comes a very interesting article written by a gentleman called Mr. Sarvesh Mathur. He says that in India, the big four have been mired in all kinds of scams and frauds, and they have been investigated by investigation agencies. They have been negligent, they have been collusive, and all agencies have been looking into their dubious role. Despite that, he points out that these firms get patronized by the government. He rightly reminds us that KPMG and Deloitte were the ones who were involved in the ILFS fraud and scam, and the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has demanded that they be banned for 5 years from undertaking any audit. He further says that EY has faced a ban by the Reserve Bank of India for 1 year from undertaking any bank audits for its negligence. In the case of PwC, it is rightly pointed out that in the case of Satyam, SEBI has banned it for a period of 2 years from undertaking any audit of a listed company. And he also points out that Enforcement Directorate has charged PwC for violating FEMA to the tune of 230 crores. That's the kind of money that EY brought into India in stark violation of the FEMA guidelines without even taking any approval from the Reserve Bank of India. All of them have been involved in some violation of the other. All of them have been questioned at some point of time or the other by SFIO, by ED, by SEBI, and they all face prosecutions or bans as pointed out by him. And despite that, as he says and questions, why are they getting patronized by the government of India and by the regulators? This article very interestingly then points out that for a very key and crucial project of SEBI, which involves setting up of its entire policy and governance, which involves its procedures and SOP, and which involves security of its data and its entire hardware and software systems. For this particular project, it says that the likes of TCS, Infosys or Wipro have not been shortlisted. These firms happen to be homegrown Indian IT firms whose capabilities are well known. But while they have not been shortlisted by SEBI, the ones who have been shortlisted are actually EY, PwC and KPMG, all of which have faced some kind of SEBI prosecution or investigation for their roles in various corporate scams. That actually makes it extremely surprising that why is SEBI trying to patronize these kind of firms which have violated laws where SEBI itself is the regulator. There are some larger issues here which certainly get raised. The first is, whoever gets awarded this particular project by SEBI, it could be EY, PwC or KPMG, is bound to work with SEBI in close proximity. It is going to give that particular consultant or vendor extremely close bond with SEBI by virtue of working on this extremely sensitive and confidential project. Is it right for SEBI to involve any of these firms or any vendor which it itself has been probing? To us, it doesn't seem to be appropriate. There is a clear conflict of interest which will emerge if any of these firms are appointed by SEBI, for the simple reason they have violated certain laws where SEBI is a regulator and they should not be allowed to participate in these kind of projects. The question that comes is there dearth of talent in India? Is there dearth of expertise and experience in India that we need to appoint these tainted multinational accounting firms and boycott our own homegrown IT giants? That's a point to ponder, especially when in 2017, it is the Prime Minister of India who went on record to say that he hopes that the Big Four will become the Big Eight and there will be at least 4 Indian accounting firms who will be part of the Big Eight. But then, if Indian firms are getting boycotted in this manner, then you certainly cannot expect that there will be a Big Eight, and his slogan of vocal for local simply sounds hollow. The fact is, we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. The fact is, they are talking about vocal for local. And at this point of time, accounting firms which have had a track record which is questionable are being patronized by our very own regulators who have been probing the dubious role of these accounting firms. To us, it doesn't match somewhere, and that's where some kind of action is needed. This is Akhilesh Bhargav signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
हमारे घरों में भी बच्चे होते हैं जो हमसे प्यार दुलार की आस करते हैं।
हमारा भी जीवन साथी है जिसको हमारे ड्यूटी से घर आने का इंतजार होता है।
हमारे घर में भी एक बूढ़ी माँ है जिनके लिए आज भी हम ही आंखों के तारे हैं।
लेकिन हम हमारे घरों में नहीं हैं। आपकी सुरक्षा में कोई कसर न रहे, इसलिए हम अपने प्रियजनों से दूर हैं।
हम में से ही कुछ तो अब इतने दूर जा चुके हैं कि वो वापस अपने घरों को लौट भी नहीं पाएंगे।
हमें गर्व है कि हमारे कंधों पे मुंबई शहर के नागरिकों की सुरक्षा की जिम्मेदारी है। हमारे जज्बे और बलिदान को व्यर्थ न जाने दे। इस संकट के समय में आप घर पे रहे, सुरक्षित रहे।
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.
If you like this video, please share it, and we would love to hear your comments in the comments section down here. Also, please do like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter to get minute-to-minute news updates. For more such shows and videos, well, subscribe to our YouTube channel.